Kurt Warner joining us here on the program. What's up, Kurt? How are you, bud?
I'm good. How are you? Anything going on in the NFL?
Nothing.
Well, here's the deal, Kurt. I'm on a simulcast, so there's a ton of radio listeners that would appreciate your take on the subject matter of the day. So I'm going to hold that one in abeyance for just a couple minutes' time. Just in 2 minutes, your first blush thoughts on Super Bowl 60's matchup. What do you think, Kurt?
I'm excited about it. I know a lot of people are leaning towards Seattle as maybe the more complete team. But I like what the Patriots have done. And Drake May, although he hasn't played great in the playoffs, we've seen what he's done all year long. I think they have a really good defense. I think they do a great job scheme-wise where they could give Seattle some problems. So I think on the surface, it's a good matchup. I still want to see more from the Patriots. I think they're going to have to show up and obviously play better offensively if they're going to compete in this football game. But if they do what they did during the season, coupled with what their defense has done in the playoffs, I think this could be a really good football game that I know a lot of people are thinking, may go, strongly in one direction.
Well, I mean, do me a favor, put that photograph up one more time. You want to interpret this photograph for me? We were having a little bit of a text exchange internally here about what the caption is there. What do you think it is?
I mean, it looks to me like put the ball away and squeeze it, young man. Right. Like we can't have any more fumbles. We got to protect it, especially in the conditions you see right there. Like, hey, we're going to win this game as long as we don't turn the football over. So, extra security right here, my man.
5 points of pressure, right? Like
that's right. That looks that's like. Right. They're all there.
Yeah, pretty much. And everyone's looking for a sign of, May's shoulder being hurt. You know what I mean? We're all looking for that. Does he look banged up to you a little bit?
I mean, in that game, I think he went down on one of the scrambles that he had, and he slid, and somebody kind of came on top of him, and he did get up slow with the shoulder. But hard to say at this point. I mean, in that game, especially from that point forward, there wasn't a whole lot being done from throwing the football perspective. So hard to know if there any issues there at all.
Okay, and you were probably watching that from the radio booth, right? The final moments of that game.
Getting
ready for the NFC Championship game. Yeah,
I was, yes.
Pretty much done. All right, Kurt Warner is here on the Rich Eisen Show. We're going to get to the topic du jour with our radio audience. Speaking of radio, about to return. We're here, as you know, on Disney Plus and the ESPN app. Back on the Rich Eisen Show of our simulcast on ESPN Radio and SiriusXM Channel 80. Kurt Warner in his usual Wednesday spot right here, Pro Football Hall of Famer. And Kurt, right? I mean, what are your thoughts on the fact that Bill Belichick is not going to be joining you and your colleagues in the bus gallery second he can, Kurt?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all feel it's crazy with what he's accomplished. I mean, when you just look at what they've done and you look at, we always talk about Tom Brady being the greatest of all time from a playing standpoint. I mean, you can't argue that Bill Belichick's the greatest of all time in terms of coaches and what he's accomplished in the NFL. And so to me, it's one of those no-brainers. As soon as he becomes eligible, he should be a Hall of Famer. And so I think we're all kind of dumbfounded by how this went down and why this went down and what were the reasons behind him not getting in. And are those reasons valid? I mean, we talk about the voting process now. Oh, did people pass up on him because they thought everybody else would vote for him and he would get in? Are people mad because coaches, only have to wait 1 year? And so, maybe Bill Belichick comes back to the NFL, so we don't want to make him a Hall of Famer and then have him come back to coach. Is that the thing? Is it the scandals that he was a part of? So we're gonna hold him out for what? Is this a 1 year? Like, hey, can't be a first ballot guy? Is this he'll never get in because of those things? I'm fascinated, like everybody else, to know what were the factors, that made so many people choose not to put this guy in that everybody that's watched the game and is part of the game knows belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, I think we all know why, Kurt, right? I mean, we don't know for sure because nobody's given voice, and it wasn't just a small smattering. It was 11 people. 11 people at least were the ones who decided it can't be, he could come back. His name hasn't been mentioned a couple of times through now coaching carousels.
Yeah.
He's approaching his mid-70s. It can't be that. It is definitely the scandals and then people in the room who felt that they were wronged by it. Or they are the guardians at the gates of the Hall of Fame, as if the Hall of Fame has never let somebody with a scandal or two into the hall. It's ridiculous. But I do have to ask you, because there are many Rams fans that from back in the day when you lost the first Super Bowl to Brady that thought that Belichick might have seen something in a practice of yours that was private. Do you, so I should ask you, you're already shaking your head about it. Like, do you think these scandals, the cheating stuff, should be held to account right now on Bill?
Well, I mean, to your point about other guys being in that, I mean, I feel like if anybody cheats the game or goes around the rules or does anything to gain an advantage over everyone else, that should be taken into account. I mean, that to me is what's great about competition. Is it's about going out there on an even playing field and seeing who can win in that situation. So I do believe, that if you have cheated in some form or fashion, that it should be taken into account at all times. But what does that mean? And as you said, how do we weigh that with all the different things that we've seen? What's too much? But if we wanted to come out with a rule and say, hey, if you break a rule in terms of going above and beyond to get a competitive advantage, you can't ever be in the Hall of Fame. I could live with that. I could live with that. So everybody would know from this point forward, you get caught using performance-enhancing drugs or a cheating scandal, that's off the table for you. I could live with that. And now maybe that stuff disappears, and that's the choice that people make. I think what's hard now is how do you determine all of that, and what's enough to keep somebody out of the Hall of Fame, and what's the level of it? Because I mean, even with this, with the Spygate, I've heard so many different things on so many different sides. I have no idea what really happened there. I have no idea the extent or, how little was really done there and what it affected. I don't know. And so I don't have the facts to be able to determine, what really went on, how much it did really help them. Did that have a huge impact on the success, all that stuff. And so without having any of that knowledge and knowing what you just said about the Hall of Fame and different people that are in the Hall of Fame, I think the bottom line is he has accomplished enough to be considered a first ballot Hall of Famer and should be in the Hall of Fame. And it doesn't make sense to me that he wasn't voted in yesterday.
His accomplishments are so vast and absurd that you even laugh feel the need to account them, right? To actually use them to somehow, some way support a case for him being a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's how insane they are.
You're exactly right. I mean, you look at, I think again, Tom Brady coming up in a few years, all you got to do is say the name, and it's like, yeah, he's in. Unless
they ascribe the same standard.
No, you're right. Unless that's why. But I mean, the same thing with Bill Belichick. I mean, I think we all just thought, oh, you just say the name, he's a lock. Let's move on to the next guy, type of thing. And so, it's crazy. I think to all of us that are involved in the game that it went down this way.
Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show, and next Thursday at NFL Honors, Robert Kraft could be and should be on that stage as well.
Yep.
Not obviously just for what happened in the past, but the Patriots appear to be set up again, Kurt, right? I mean, you take a look at this team, and where do you stand on the subject matter of easy regular season, no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Josh, no starting quarterback in the AFC Championship game for their opponent, bunch of snow comes, and their accomplishments of making Super Bowl 60 are less than. Where do you stand on that subject matter, Kurt?
I mean, I understand it. You have to take all that into consideration. You understand why people would say that. But at the end of the day, who cares? I don't care. It doesn't matter to me how you get there. And 10 years from now, we're not going to remember how somebody got there. You're there. And now the biggest thing is, can you win it? If you win it at this point, nobody cares how easy your regular season was. Nobody cares what the process was to get there in the playoffs. This is the moment. This is what it's all about. And so, I think there's some valid points to that. But regardless, you have to win the games. You have to do what you have to do. I mean, everybody else had the same opportunity. Denver had just as good an opportunity to beat them on Sunday, didn't get it done. And you could say that along the way. And so when it comes time to play the games, you play the games. You play who's on your schedule, and you play as well as you can. It's the same thing with Drake May not being the MVP because their schedule was too easy. I mean, whatever. All these guys are NFL players. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday, and you still have to go out and play. It's not as if everybody's just running wide open out there and other teams stumbling and bumbling around. Like, that to me is ridiculous. Is that, there's going to be times where somebody has an easier road to get there. I mean, I look back at our Super Bowl with the Cardinals, and we were 9-7 on the season. Like, we played in a terrible division. That may be the only reason we got into the playoffs. But we got into the playoffs and we beat good teams, and we had a chance to win the Super Bowl. And that to me is what it's all about. You take care of what's in front of you. That's all that matters at the end of the day. No matter what anybody says, you don't give them back. You don't apologize for it. You appreciate the moment, and you go try to win it.
Kurt Warner here on the Rich Eisen Show. And again, for those listening right now, Kurt, you're in your office or some part of your beautiful home with your awesome wife and your beautiful family, and the Sports Illustrated cover. Who is this guy? When you were coming out of the mist on that magic carpet ride in 1999 for the Rams, we know who Sam Darnold is, right? A lot of us are familiar. A lot of fans are familiar with him. I would love to give you the floor on what he's done and what accomplishments he has made, and he is a Super Bowl quarterback, and what you think of that, Kurt.
Yeah, I love the story, Rich, and I'm actually going to get a chance to sit down with him tomorrow, interview him for our show on Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that and kind of talking a little bit about the journey. But I love kind of the contrast of what we have in the Super Bowl. We've got a young second-year quarterback in the Super Bowl, a guy that's come into the league and taken the league by storm and had an MVP type season in year 2. And he's gotten all the way to the Super Bowl. And we see this, here and there, and we feel like everybody should be like that when they come in. And then you have Sam Darnold that came in, and we can point to whatever factors we want to point to early in his career, but it took him longer. It took him longer to figure it out. And it's one of the things that I learned in my journey is that it's so easy to just, and even for people that weren't involved in it, to look back and go, how did everybody miss Kurt Warner? Like, how did everybody pass on him? All these guys don't know what they're doing. I think the same thing happens with Sam. Is like, oh my gosh, the Jets should have kept him, and he should have been their franchise guy, and they screwed it up. I think there's some times that we as individuals have to recognize we're not the person or the player that we will eventually become. And we need some growing up. We need some maturing. We need to get better at our craft. And sometimes it takes certain people a little bit longer to get there. And eventually they do. And eventually they come into their own and they show people what they're capable of, but it takes a little bit longer. I don't know exactly what the circumstances were with Sam and which part of that it was. But I know in my journey that I can't just sit there and just point the finger at everybody else. Well, they didn't recognize it. They didn't know. They didn't see me. They didn't give me. I take some ownership of, where I was in the process and what I needed to do to become the player that I would eventually become. And I think that's a great part of the story, too, if there's some truth to that with Sam, that, hey, I came out as a young guy and, I was good, but I wasn't where I am now. And I made some mistakes and I needed to learn some things that I didn't have. And fortunately, I've gotten that second opportunity or third opportunity. I've got a chance to be someplace where they believe in me and I'm at a place where I feel I can be successful. And boom, I now get to the Super Bowl. And so I love both sides of it because both sides can be true. You can be ready and have success early, or it might take you some time, but you can still have the same level of success or reach that same mountaintop. And I think we have that contrast with these two guys. I love what Sam has done. I love his perseverance. And, when people said he couldn't, on so many different steps, he just kept plugging and kept learning and growing and taking what he could, and then has taken advantage of the opportunities that he's gotten. And here we are, a chance to, I guess, cement part of his legacy as a Super Bowl winning quarterback after everything that he's been through. I think it could help reshape how people look, I'll say young quarterbacks, but how people look at quarterbacks moving forward, that some might come in and hit the ground running, and that's awesome. Others, it might take a little bit of time, but with a little bit of patience and growth and maturity, can become someone like Sam Darnold that comes into their own and takes those teams to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's 28. It's not like he's over the hill, right? But he was labeled a bust at age 25, right?
Yeah.
And Drake May is fortunate enough to be. It's always that nature versus nurture conversation, right? That clearly, the mix wasn't right in year one for everybody involved in New England. And he gets the mix right in year two, play caller, coach, free agent help, draftees, and boom. He's so fortunate, and the Patriots are, to have a third overall draft choice blossom in year two and clearly be the guy of the future, in a way that when Sam Darnold was chosen third overall, both third overall picks, while we're chopping this up, Kurt, isn't that interesting, of the 2018 draft, that he needed to go and now become, I've got the stat here, third quarterback to start a Super Bowl after playing for at least five other teams. Wow. Four other teams, at least five teams, including his own in the NFL. Yeah. The others are Chris Chandler in Super Bowl 33 and Earl Morrall in Super Bowl 3 against Joe Namath, against the Jets, which, as we all know, who drafted Darnold. It's really cool. It really is that you got two different paths for third overall drafted quarterbacks facing each other in this Super Bowl. It really is wild like that, right?
It is. And again, I love it because as we lead up to this the next 2 weeks, and as we talk about it for however many hours we're on the air, 8 hours.
8.5. Don't forget that half, Kurt.
8.5. Yeah. But it allows you to see both sides of the spectrum. And I love that part of it because we so much go down this path, whether it's coaches or offensive coordinators or quarterbacks, like, when they get the job, they should be a finished product. Man, if they don't show us right away that they're great, let's go find somebody new. Instead of going, give them some time. It's their first chance in the NFL. I look at Kevin Patullo, and again, we all say what we want, but the first-time play caller, and I know it didn't go well, and I know they had talent there, but it's like, nope, you don't get a chance to grow. You got to put this together in 1 year. You don't get a chance to learn from your mistakes. Boom, you're out. We're moving on. We see it with head coaches all the time. You get 2 years. Oh, you haven't turned this thing around. Boom, you're gone. We're going to the next guy. And man, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to grow into what we're going to become and what our full potential is. And it's not the same trajectory for everybody. And so I love that storyline, and that we get a chance to talk about the storyline and how it could shape differently, the way people, have perspective on this type of situation moving forward.
And we'll talk more about Super Bowl 60 next week when we're hanging in San Francisco on this show. And I always appreciate you hanging out, Kurt. In the 2 minutes I have left, Mike McCarthy is getting a third shot at coaching. And it sure sounded like the door was open for Rodgers. Do you think that's what the Steelers should do? Hook McCarthy up with Rodgers while maybe letting somebody else marinate, a la Love or a la Rodgers himself when McCarthy was there in Green Bay? Or should they just find the young guy, if it's Will Howard or Malik Willis or a draftee, and go for it? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think there's pressure on McCarthy right off the bat, even though, starting something new and you get a chance to kind of write your own story. But the one thing Pittsburgh is used to winning, at least to a particular level, and being a playoff team. So you don't want to come in your first year after 18 years of not having a losing season and have a losing season right off the bat. So I understand that pressure of going, Aaron's probably, better than a lot of the guys that we're going to get. Even, like I know people are throwing around Malik Willis, who has played well over the last couple years. is he that guy and the answer? Do you go get him? But, I think Aaron, in the way that he played in the playoff team this year, that he probably gives you the best chance to have that kind of success again. But the longer that you go with an Aaron Rodgers, assuming that it's just going to be a year short-term thing, the more you prolong finding and playing and getting to the level with the next guy and committing to the next guy. And so I see both sides of the equation here. I do believe bringing Aaron back, just with what I see on the landscape of where the Steelers draft and who they have now with no experience and and who's going to be on the free agent market. Yeah, I think Aaron gives them the best chance to have a semblance of success like they did this year, next year. But I just don't know if that's the route you want to go as you're starting to rebuild this thing and you want to get back to championship level. I don't think this team, unless they make some dramatic moves, is a championship type team next year. And so, like I saw when I went to New York, although I might have been the best player, the Giants decided halfway through the season, we're not that team. We're not a championship team yet. And so we want our quarterback ready when our team is ready. And so let's play the young quarterback and let him grow and learn. And so 2 years down the road, when we built the team, he's also ready. So I fully understand how they could go that route as well. And hey, we're going to take our lumps, and we may not be a winning season or team next year for the first time in a long time, but we're building something big picture to become a Super Bowl champion, which to me is what it's all about and what they're looking for in Pittsburgh.
Love you, man. Thanks for the time.
All right, buddy.
I'll see you in San Francisco. You be well.
Okay.
That's Kurt Warner, everybody, right here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Kurt.
QB Confidential is how you can check on all of his breakdowns of the championship games and his preview of Super Bowl 60. It's must check out. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.